I'll stress at this point that I am not an expert, I'm not even very good at it, but this is what I've learned. The information wasn't out there, so we had to learn by trial and error, and we got there in the end, so we must have done something right.
But first, our friends at Lancaster Insurance are running monthly giveaways. You can win all sorts, from experience days to tools, restaurant vouchers and tech. So click the link below at the end of the video to enter their latest competition.
Right, this is the valves, the brains out of the automatic gearbox. This is out of the one that is now the spare one, so our original box. So this goes up onto the gearbox. This hangs down. When you take the sump off the gearbox, underneath this is what you see. Now this one here is the gear selector, so that's got a cable that runs to the gear stick, and you pull it back from park through the gears to drive and back again. This one is the inhibitor switch, which will only allow the ignition to fire when it's in neutral or park. Obviously the idea being you don't have it in drive, turn the key on, start the engine and drive straight into the car in front. I needed to see what was happening in there, because all you've got is that. I've got no idea on the adjustment. So the first thing I did, and this was really in some ways my fatal mistake, because this set me back weeks and weeks of trial and error. Take this little plate off, because what we find under there. So remember, this is the inhibitor switch, and this little pivot here will push against that to activate the switch, and the other end of this lever is activated by a little cam on the end of that cog. This rod that comes in and out as you pull the gear stick forwards and back, you've got grooves along there that rotate that, and there are notches on this side, which is this little spring-loaded detente, so that when you push it in, it finds the right spot for the next ratio. There's only 5 of them, but there's 6 places on the gear stick, because you've got drive from the back, drive, third, second, first, neutral, and then reverse, so we couldn't figure that out. But my big problem was that this fell out, and I didn't know, I was just looking and investigating, so I hadn't taken any pictures, I hadn't studied the angle that was at. That was twofold, that problem. One was I didn't know where the cam was, so there was a lot of trial and error to get it so that it activated this in the right place. And the second bit was I then had to take this off further, because that has a big wheel there that is activated by the gear selector, and at the other end it acts on a valve coming across this way, and there are grooves on that as well. So we had to match up the notches on that with the notches on that, and what we were getting was, I got it one tooth out, for example, and it would then it wouldn't go into fourth, it would only go back as far as third. So I'd pull it out, turn it round, wash and put it back. But what I didn't know was that the valve was then moving, so we might then have no gears, or it would be stuck in drive and wouldn't come out. So it was just trial and error, each time learning a little bit more, investigating something that you really don't want to be taking that apart if you don't know what you're doing. But we did reach the point where nothing to lose. It was a 1.5 ton garden ornament if we couldn't get the gearbox working, so we just kept on going with it, and like I say, got there in the end. This little jobby here, I never did find out what that does. I connected it back up, and I'm pretty sure it might do the kick down, but I'm not convinced of it. But as I say, tried to put everything back as best I could to how it was, and we did get there in the end, and this one is now spare, so I'll find the screw that I dropped earlier and keep it with the gearbox in case it's ever needed.
This video is proudly sponsored by Lancaster Insurance. Give them a call on 01480 400 889 for an insurance quote on your classic car. And don't forget to click the link below to enter their latest competition.